On this edition of Saving American Energy, we head to the pipeline crossroads of the world, Cushing, Oklahoma, to visit Plains All-American. Their work keeps the lights on for America and the world. It doesn't get bigger than this. Welcome to Cushing, Oklahoma. Growing up in the energy capital of the world, Houston, Texas, I learned the value of hard work. I also learned that without the grit of Americans working every day to provide us with energy, the lights will go out. We are fighting to make sure that that never happens. I'm Wesley Hunt, and I'm running for Congress to restore, defend, and preserve American energy independence. But I can't do it alone. That's why I'm traveling the country in search of the brave, patriotic, and innovative leaders that power our lives. I want to tell their stories and change the conversation from energy transition to energy addition. Together, we're saving American energy. Our next stop on Saving American Energy takes us to the small town of Cushing, Oklahoma. With fewer than 8,000 residents, Cushing is a key transportation and storage hub for the nation's crude oil supply. I'm Wesley Hunt, right here in Cushing, Oklahoma, with Plains All-American. Roughly 2 million barrels flow through this facility every single day. And you know what that means? They're saving American energy. VP of Storage and Rail, Robert Nobles, gives us the tour.
Wesley Hunt, thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you here.
Really, really appreciate it. So how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the Plains for 21 years.
And how long have you been in the industry?
21 years.
21 years. So they've been treating you pretty well here, I see, huh?
They've been awesome. It's been a blessing for me and my family.
Well, fantastic. So you talk about, your family. What has this company kind of allowed for you personally and provided for your family? What kind of opportunity have you gotten kind of from not just this company, but from the industry as a whole?
Well, so you're going to make me cry because every time I have this conversation, when I talk about how much of a blessing Plains All-American has been to my family, it's just immense. Cushing, this specific asset was the first asset that I had purview over.
Yeah.
And working with the local team here at Cushing has been just a blessing to them. So when I first started at Plains in this role, we had it was phase 7, right at 10 million barrels of storage.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been able to, with this team, to grow that to 27.2 million barrels of storage. So we've more than doubled in size, almost tripled from where we originally started. What we've been able to do is to take in all the large refiners, producers in the area, and service their needs to be able to take crude from the lease and take it to the refinery. So we partner up with those refineries. So I think right now we service over 26 different refineries with over 50 grades of crude oil that pass through our manifolds on a day-to-day basis.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Now let's take a look at the incredible storage capacity of Plains in Cushing, Oklahoma.
Can you explain the storage capacity of a tank like this? And kind of how many do you have on site, and what's the overall storage right here at this facility?
Right, so if you looked at this tank, this is a 45-foot tall tank.
Yeah.
And it's one of our most popular tanks that we have at the facility. So it's a 270,000 shell capacity tank.
Okay.
That tank will hold up to 240,000 barrels of crude oil.
Wow.
In it at one point. This tank right here was built for Keystone, the base Keystone system coming in. So it was one of the first tanks that we built because of the inflows of Western Canadian barrels coming in to the U.S. And so we built this tank, and now it's run its 10-year cycle. And now it's being inspected and cleaned. And once again, talk about safety. That's what we're trying to make sure that this thing, we can use it for another 20 to 50 years to 100 years to come.
So Robert, what's the current capacity of Keystone, and then what would have been the capacity of Keystone if we would have continued the XL project?
So the base Keystone capacity that they started out was 590,000 barrels a day.
Okay.
If they were to build the Keystone XL pipeline, that would have been an additional 1 million barrels a day
of capacity coming. So that project was actually designed to take 1.6 million barrels to the U.S.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
What the Keystone XL pipeline would have done would have allowed more barrels to not only get to our Patoka facility and potentially down to another one of our facilities we have down in St. James,
yes,
but it would also split off and let those barrels flow all the way from Hardisty down to Houston. So they would have had two separate pipelines that could move 1.6 million barrels of crude oil a day from the oil sands down to the Houston Nederland market and the Patoka St. James market. When that contract when that pipeline project got canceled, that 1.6 million stayed to just the 600,000 barrels a day of the existing base Keystone system. So what that meant was that took potentially 1 million barrels of crude oil potentially off the market.
So now what we have to do now is either put it on, on a train or on a boat. When, can you kind of talk about what the cleanest, most efficient way to transport any kind of hydrocarbon or fuel is?
Absolutely, no doubt. Putting crude oil on a pipeline is the safest, most cost-effective way to be able to do that. We'll give you an example. Before that, let's say we'll talk another controversial pipeline, the DAPL pipeline, the Dakota Access pipeline, right? So before that pipeline was built, it actually they used to rail those barrels out of the Bakken.
Okay.
Right? And they used to rail them at a cost of $16 a barrel out of that market. And so people in the other markets had to pay up to be able to get that crude. What it ended up doing is depressing a lot of the prices in that area. So when they built the Dakota Access pipeline, that pipeline tariff is half of what the transportation cost is to put it on the rail car.
Right.
So what's most cost effective?
Yeah.
$16 or $8?
Next, we go from pumps to pipelines. Let's check out how Plains is sending 2 million barrels a day downstream.
So what's that sound that I'm hearing, sir?
Well, Wesley, what you're hearing are pumps, right?
Okay.
What that sound is telling you is those are the pumps.
Okay.
And, when you walked in the tank farm earlier, you saw all the tanks. It's drawing barrels out of those tanks through these pipelines.
Yes.
These pumps are drawing those and sending these barrels down to the Gulf Coast.
Okay. So where exactly is it sitting to in the Gulf Coast from here?
So some of these barrels that go here, we're connected where we feed the Seaway pipeline and the Market Link pipeline, which is is owned by TransCanada. So those barrels can go either to Freeport, and it can go to Houston or Nederland.
Okay. And about how many barrels of oil pass through this area, through this manifold every single day?
So on this one, this manifold, it usually runs about 300 to 400, as many as 600 to 700,000 barrels a day of crude oil flows down the Gulf Coast. But in this old facility, throughout all of our manifolds, is right under 2 million barrels a day that will be pointed to
2 million barrels a day.
2 million bubbles a day flow through this
every single day.
Every single day.
Since we've been doing these series, I've spoken to a lot of executives like yourself. What we've discovered is that there's a sense of, to our core and to the heart of the industry, this idea of doing right by our environment and doing right by our climate. Can you kind of talk through the steps that y'all are taking to make sure that we continue to reduce our carbon footprint and just do right by our earth?
So safety is paramount to what we do.
It's still a business.
It's still a business. We want to make sure that barrels get from their origin to their destination in the safest, most efficient way possible. We take, at this facility, we have all the high-tech equipment to detect leaks, to detect whether or not. Like you, I don't know if you can hear in the background. Did you hear that sound right there?
Yes.
That's an alarm to let them know that they need to do certain activity, right? So we, and those are pre-alarms of the before it gets to the post alarm. So everything we do in our environment, we do with a sense of urgency. We do a sense of pride, and we want to make sure that every drop of oil that passes through our facility gets to its destination with no hurt, harm, or danger.
Plains All-American plays a critical role in distributing crude oil across North America, employing 4,000 employees and handling 7 million barrels of oil a day. Plains All-American is helping to power America and the world. they're doing it safer and more environmentally friendly than ever before. Next time, before you turn on your lights or gas up your SUV, remember, crude from the Rockies, the Permian, and even Canada all makes a trip through the pipeline crossroads of the world, and the people at Plains make it possible. And that's how you save American energy.